Welcome back to Growing Our Future in Weakley County Schools podcast. This podcast is a production of Weakley County Schools in partnership with Forever Communications and sponsored by Sonic of Weakley County. I'm Megan Jolly, Director of Communications, and today we're shining a light on some amazing teachers who are shaping our futures one classroom at a time. We're joined by three incredible educators, our District Teachers of the Year. These stars of education aren't just teachers. They are mentors, motivators, and masters of turning challenges into successes. We're going to laugh, learn, and maybe even uncover a few classroom secrets along the way. Let's dive in and meet these teachers who are truly changing the game. So the first thing that we're going to do is talk a little bit about how these lovely ladies came to be on the episode today. These are our District Teachers of the Year. We have Miss Caitlin Tucker from Sharon School, Miss Jody Hatler from Martin Middle, and Miss Samantha Vaughn from Westview. These are our district level Teachers of the Year. So every year, teachers across the county vote in their school for who they want to represent their school as Teacher of the Year. Those are voted in 3 grade bands, pre-K through 4, 5 through 8, and 9 through 12. So we end up with a representative from each school. Those representatives then come to the district level, where we have a committee who carefully reviews all of that and picks one representative from each grade band to represent the entire county. So these are our District Teachers of the Year. So just to get us started, if you could tell us a little bit about your background, how long you've been teaching, what subjects, things like that, let our audience get to know you just a little bit, that would be perfect. So if you want to go first, Ms. Caitlin.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is my 9th year as a speech-language pathologist in our school system for Weakley County Schools. Every day I conduct speech and language therapy to students anywhere from 3 years old to the middle school level. Yeah. And I'm primarily at Sharon School, but I also serve students at Martin Middle School as well. So.
Okay, so that keeps you busy.
Yes.
That's a busy and such
Yes.
an important service to our students. Absolutely. Ms. Jody?
Well, I teach at Martin Middle School, and this is my 25th year, but 3rd year at Martin Middle. I did teach at Dresden Middle for 22 years, and I teach science, 8th grade science right now, and I love it.
Perfect. Ms. Samantha?
Yes, I've been teaching. This is my 13th year here in Weakley County Schools. I started out at Martin Middle, primarily teaching 6th and 7th grade math, but also doing some science here and there as needed. Last year, I transitioned to the high school, where I'm now teaching Algebra 1 and Geometry.
Those are some tough subjects. Those are some good ones, yes. For me, they were always tough. They're probably not tough for you. So as we all can think back over our years in school, I'm sure that it's easy for each of us to think of who our favorite teacher was. So if we can just, who was your favorite teacher and why?
I have a lot of favorite teachers, but I think if I had to choose one, I loved Miss Margaret Greer. She's retired now, but she was my math teacher for my junior and senior year at Westview. I loved math, and so she really pushed me to learn those skills. And she doesn't know this, but she is probably the reason why I got through my calculus class in college, because I had all of those notes from her, and she was just such a great teacher and instilled those skills for me. So
That you've carried through.
Yes,
and
yes.
that is so.
I still have that
so
notebook too.
important.
Of all my
there you go.
notes.
You still have that notebook, and you still
Yes.
have those. If you need to go back through those
Yes,
classes,
yes.
you're ready to go. What about you, Miss Jody?
Well, I'm like Caitlin. I went to Westview also, and I love everything science, and I think Miss Rosemary Neville and Miss Teresa Knott were the two that made me love science. They got so excited every day about science and made me excited. So that's really why I became a science teacher, I think.
Okay.
So, but they were my favorites. They were 2 peas in a pod, and they would always joke or play jokes on each other. It was hilarious.
So just that energy
Yeah.
was something that really interested you into
Yes.
it. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What about you, Miss Samantha?
Well, I had a really hard time when you said that, thinking about a specific teacher, because for me, middle school was a really, really difficult time. with all the emotions and things like that. If you've ever taught middle school, you know what I'm talking about, because it's just a different beast. There's so much going on. And so I had a lot of teachers. I was at Henry Elementary in Henry County, and I had Miss Barrow, she was a math teacher, Miss Keenan, who was a librarian, and Mr. Fields, who was my 7th grade math teacher. And they were all just so kind and considerate and thoughtful, and no matter what you were going through, what kind of drama was going on with other kids, I felt like they were there to listen. And like Miss Hattler said, I think that's what spurred me to want to be a teacher, and specifically at the time it was middle school that I really wanted to make an impact with.
I think that is something that our teachers do so well here. Is it's not just in the classroom. You guys all do such an amazing job of realizing the needs of your students, just their emotional needs and their mental needs. And it is so important because to get them to that table to learn, you guys do an incredible amount of work just to get them there. And that is so true. On that, if you are talking to parents about supporting their kids academically, is there a tip that you can offer them of something that they can do maybe at home to try to support their children through those academic processes?
I think one really important thing is just communication with their child about their school day. Asking them, how was your day? What did you do today? What did you do in math class, reading class? And that's when you'll kind of see where their needs are, where their strengths are as well, so that they can be praised in those areas too. But I definitely think that communicating on a regular basis about academics, and then it also will kind of, and talking about it at home, as well, kind of creates a positive learning with academics in general. Just creates that positive vibe, I guess you'd say, in relation to their education, so that they're wanting to come to school, they're wanting to learn. So that would be my biggest tip, I think, is just communicating on a regular basis with their students every day.
I think that is two things that you said that I really love is it gives you something to praise them for. And I think as parents, we are always wanting to build our children up and build them to think well of themselves. And as teachers, you guys are doing the same thing. But then also giving them a positive view of coming to school. A positive, this is what we're talking about. And that is so cool that you learned that in reading class. And helping them view these classes positively is so important. I love that. I really love that. What about you, Miss Jody?
Well, I am very big on mental health, and I am very grateful that our county has added more mental health counselors to our school system, and I highly feel like I'm going to be using those a lot. But I think that it is a lot of the parents' job to provide whatever the child needs at home for them to have good mental health, because as a teacher, when they come to school and we know that their mental health is not good, it's very hard when you have a classroom full of kids to focus on their needs for that. Now, I try to, and we try to give them the services they need, but I think if the parents were really aware of what services that they had available, that would be great. I just think that would help out a lot. Of course, my dad was a psychologist, so I've just always been really big on that, and I wish everybody had their own psychologist,
I think that mental health, especially as we're seeing in these kids, is so important, and helping them at home to realize, different coping mechanisms and different ways to recognize and deal with their emotions is an important step that we can take it home too.
Yes.
I agree. What about you, Ms. Samantha?
Well, kind of piggybacking off of what you said about mental health, I'm a huge advocate for growth mindset and making sure that kids realize that their intelligence is not fixed. And I think sometimes we as parents, we want to make our kids feel good about things, and we unintentionally send the wrong message. So, for example, like during parent-teacher conference, sometimes the parent will say, oh, well, we weren't good at math either, so don't feel bad about that, baby, or whatever. And they're trying to make their kid feel good about themselves, but sometimes it sets their kid up to have that fixed mindset where they don't think that they can improve, and what is just is, instead of pushing forward and figuring out ways to grow and improve in a certain subject. And, like I do after school tutoring and things like that, and there's so many kids that you tell them, hey, you can come to Math Lab. There's all these different resources, and if parents will put out there that, hey, we can get better at this. Yes. You just have to put in the work, and let's look at all the different ideas that we have, and let's figure out what would help you. I think that would be very beneficial.
I like that too. I think that setting that expectation, kind of like we do at home. I don't like to do laundry either, and neither do my kids. Mm-hmm. So working with them on sometimes that there's things that we have to work on, and expectations of what we're going to do and who we're going to be, and the standard that we're setting for our kids, I think that is incredibly important. Yes, ma'am. So I think we spoke to this a little bit earlier when we talked about our favorite teachers. But was there a moment that made you a specific moment that made you want to be a teacher, or a collection of moments?
I don't know that I have just one moment. I grew up in a long line of teachers. Okay. Both my granddad and my father were professors at universities, and then my mom was a special education preschool teacher in our county for several years. So I think just, it's kind of it's in my blood a little bit. I also grew up, in college, I coached gymnastics and cheerleading for several years. And so just that, I think, experience with working with children, I knew that I wanted to do that. And then in college, I majored in psychology, and I kind of fell in love with the behavioral, developmental, those kind of coursework classes, and so from there I just kind of, I don't know, my mom has a background in communication disorders as well, so it's kind of always, it was always there, but after observing some other speech pathologists, I just realized that that's what I wanted to do, and I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. So.
And you're amazing at it.
Thank you.
So that was a great decision. That was a great decision, and we are so thankful for all of the years of teaching that your family has. That's awesome. That is awesome. What about you, Miss Jody?
There wasn't a specific thing, but there's a culmination of things. My parents were both teachers. Mm-hmm. My mom was a high school teacher, and my dad was a college professor. Having them both, I actually had both of them, and having there were some really good college professors, and having loving science, that all just kind of came together for me. I had a lot of good science professors. Caitlin's dad was actually one of them, and I've had him come to speak to our classes, and the more exposure you get to all the good teachers that are out there, I think the more, encouraging that can be. But I think that's probably what did it. And I did work for Dad. He worked with children who had neurological disorders, and I enjoyed working with those kids,
So that all came together and gave you the...
Yeah, and there's something different about working with kids than with adults. Mm-hmm. You can have interesting conversations with kids. I really like that aspect of it too. So
Yes. What about you, Miss Samantha?
Well, I do not have any teachers in my family, but I just had so many teachers that were enthusiastic about learning, and they made me love learning, and I wanted to share that with students. I also loved that every day is different. You never know what's going to happen, and it's a challenge, and so I didn't like the idea of doing something the same every day, and just getting in that routine. I like the change.
The challenge of it.
Yes.
It is a great mix of the challenge of teaching, and then that you're never going to quite know what's going to go on during the day, but also you have the reward of knowing the difference that you're making.
Yes.
And I think that y'all do amazing work in that way. So on kind of coming off of that, what advice would you give young teachers or someone who is going into the profession of, what advice would you have for them?
I think just to never stop learning. I think just to always be looking for learning, ways to learn new things, thinking outside of the box. What used to work may not work now when working with children. And so just finding new ways, new strategies, new techniques. There's so much knowledge out there, and I think just always being willing to go and learn in our field is so important.
And I think that is important across all professions, across any field, just to know that you are constantly learning. And, and in life, I mean, that's just good. That's just good life advice. That's perfect.
Well, I would tell them to focus on the good and not the bad, learn from the bad. Our classroom motto is we learn from our mistakes, and so I think that young teachers will definitely need to learn from their mistakes and let them know that we all go through that, not to give up, and, tell them to really look at the reward benefit analysis too, because I think the reward is almost too great to give up on it. But mainly to focus on the good things that happen, and maybe even keep a list of that and reflect on that every day.
Keep a running note. Yes. Yes.
Journal it or something.
Journal it. Keep a running note. I think that is. I think that's important. And again, through all professions and through life, that is, we have to be willing to learn and look at those moments where we don't love what happened and try to find the good in that.
Yes.
Yes.
Reflection is key. Yes.
So very. Ms. Samantha?
So I was going to say something about reflecting, and you're always learning, but I do have something to kind of add to that. I read something one year from a podcast or an article of somebody that I follow, and they were talking about how it's important to find a marigold teacher, and I was like, what is this? And evidently marigolds, and you might know this as a science person, but marigolds, if you plant them with other plants, they actually help nurture the soil, and they help others to grow, the other plants around them. And so this article was about finding the marigold teachers, and that's kind of stuck with me over the years. I think it's important when you start teaching to find people that will pour into you and have positive thoughts. Don't get stuck in a negative cycle. And if you need help, you need to have some support system there for you, because we've all been there, and it's not anything to be embarrassed by if you're having trouble with, a certain behavioral management issue, or you don't know how to teach a certain thing. We've all been there. We've all needed somebody to help us at some point.
I think that is so important, especially going into a profession and going into teaching, finding people who are going to compliment you, who are going to build you up, and who are going to just say, hey, it's okay. It's okay. We're all there. Yes. I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that this has been amazing advice for anyone, and especially for our young teachers who are looking into their future.
A message from the Sonic Department of Research and Deliciousment.
Did you know your new favorite burger has hand-smashed patties made to order, hot and melty cheese, and a tangy sauce? How rude of me. Let me introduce you. Try the all-new Double Sonic Smasher and at a half-price drink in the app.
You want to live free?
You guys are probably very, very familiar with your team rubric, which is, for some of our listeners who are not as familiar with that, as you get your evaluations in your classroom, this is a rubric that helps measure your skills and then places where we can work on in our classrooms. So in your opinion, what is your greatest strength on the team rubric?
I guess I would probably have to say in knowledge of students.
Okay.
I do serve such a wide range of ages, from 3-year-old to middle school age. They all have various severities of speech and language disorders, and so just going into a session, I can't take the same thing for every child, and I think it's so important to just kind of take things in there that I know that they will motivate them to want to be successful, to want to try their best, those types of things. So I guess I would say probably knowledge of students, just on a, everyday basis. So
I think that's great. I think that's great, being able to tailor what you're doing and how you're communicating to them to help them communicate back to you.
Right.
And to do that, you have to know them well.
Right. And
I think that's great.
There may be, a kiddo that loves dinosaurs, and if you get to know that child and you know that they're very motivated by dinosaurs, then we will bring all the dinosaurs in our session. So, so I think just really getting to know those kiddos is important.
I think that is so true. That's so true. Ms. Shody?
I'm going to have to say environment. Of course, I've always loved elementary classrooms. They just make you want to go in and
They're happy.
be there. But as a middle school teacher, you need that too. You need them to feel comfortable where they are. So I try to decorate with lights and different things and colorful things and interesting things, because if they're comfortable, then you're going to be able to formulate that relationship a lot better, and they'll be able to trust you more. And I think it'll set the tone for their learning environment. So,
And I think we've all been in spaces where when we feel more comfortable, we're more inspired, we're more creative, we're able to think clearly and not be distracted. I think that is so important for these kids coming into their classrooms.
yes.
And wanting to be there. That's a great first step in we want to be there because we enjoy the vibe of it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Ms. Samantha?
Well, I would have to say instructional plans. As a math teacher, I feel like I have to be very detail-oriented and make sure that I have all my scaffolds in place so that even the learner that struggles in math can get something out of the lesson and get where we're headed. So I try to make sure that I have those detailed lesson plans, and it also just helps me to maximize the class time and not waste precious minutes, because we only have 45 minutes. So we've got to hit the ground running and use every second.
I think that is planning that time has got to be huge, especially when you're dealing with math and, like you said, making sure that we're planning for all the way from this learner over here to this learner and making the most of that time. That's huge. Yes. That is huge. So quickly, we have our exit ticket, and these are probably some of the hardest questions that we have. So we're going to do a super quick round. I will just ask the question, and then Miss Caitlin, Miss Shody, Miss Samantha, y'all can just go around that way. So starting off with a widely controversial topic that I have seen here lately, when do you decorate for Christmas?
Well, I decorate not before Halloween or anything. I decorate probably like the middle of November, because it is before Thanksgiving, but I just love being able to enjoy the Christmas decorations with my two boys, and that part is done, and then you can kind of enjoy it better throughout the month of December. So I do decorate before Thanksgiving, but
not quite like we decorate the year after or the day after Halloween. So
yeah, I have done that
so you've got a
before,
middle
but I
of the
did
road.
now I do more like November 12th-ish.
Okay.
Around that time.
Okay.
So
That's exactly what
Yes,
I was
The
going
middle of the road.
Yes, yes, because I want to enjoy it longer, and like you said, you can relax and enjoy Christmas after that. And I'm big on environment, so there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, so that
There you
ties
go.
right back into that. Yeah. Miss Samantha?
I'm in the same boat with all of them. Mid-November, I used to be a strict after Thanksgiving, but it just seems so rushed and chaotic, and it's just hard to get all the things in. So we start a little early.
So while you're decorating or while you're doing your Christmas stuff, do you have a favorite coffee drink or a favorite fun drink that you are looking for?
Well, this time of the year, I love gingerbread lattes.
Okay.
From Martin's Coffee and Bakery. That's
Yes.
that's my go-to. I drive
Yes.
through in the front a lot of mornings.
They
every
are
week.
so good. They are so good.
So
And
this
the
time of the year,
perfect
yes,
seasonal. Yeah.
yes, that's my seasonal drink, I guess, right now.
Love that.
I'd say pumpkin spice latte, and for a loaded tea, I like the special, the Southern Strawberry specialty.
Oh, that is good. That is good. And that will give you all the energy
It will.
to be able to decorate your house and everybody else's house. All the energy.
Exactly.
Yes, Miss Samantha?
Well, I'm cheap over here. I do not like going out to get my coffee or anything. I like to just buy I like the Chobani peppermint mocha creamer. It is very good. And I make mine at home because I'm all about saving $1.
To put on your Christmas tree. Yes. To put back into that. Yes. So then Christmas movies. Favorite?
I don't know. I love the Home Alone movies. I don't know. I've always liked them. But right now at my house, Polar Express is on repeat because I have 2 little boys that love
Yes.
some trains, and so that's all that plays on at my house right now. So.
We're also a Polar Express house. I understand that
Yes.
so deeply.
Home Alone,
yeah.
yes, definitely that. And then I like that old timey Frosty the Snowman.
Oh, yeah.
movie.
That's a fun one.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
I like the Santa Claus movies, mainly the first one,
Yeah.
but they're all good to me. So
Good ones.
yeah.
And then if you could only eat one Christmas cookie for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I love Snickerdoodles.
That's a good one. Goes along with the gingerbread latte. That's good.
Yes.
That's a good combo.
One cookie.
I know that's like these are harder questions. I think
I like the s'mores cookies.
Oh, yeah.
those are good.
And
Those are good.
chocolate chip is just always good.
I'll eat any cookie. But at this time of year, I like the basic ones in the tin that are just like
yeah.
the butter
Yes.
cookies or the shortbread cookies. I don't know what they're called.
Festive cookies.
Yes.
Okay. And then last one, favorite Christmas song.
Oh, I don't know. I love Christmas hymns,
Okay.
and so I don't know. I find myself like kind of gravitating to those, like by Pentatonics and all of that. But I guess Angels We Have Heard on High, or Joy to the World, like those kind of classic Christmas hymns.
I love those.
Yeah,
I love those.
yeah.
I really like Silent Night.
Pretty one.
It's just real special.
I like the Christmas song, and anything by the in the 50s and 60s where you've got all of those classic singers.
Yes.
Definitely not Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
My kids like that, but I'm like, can we listen to something else?
Another classic, but it is one that you can. By about the time I'm done putting up my Christmas tree, I'm tired of listening to that song.
Right.
So, but thank you guys so much for being here with us this morning and just giving us a behind the scenes look into some of your strategies going into your classrooms. And congratulations on Teacher of the Year. We're so proud of all of the work that y'all do and so excited to get to honor you. And thank y'all again for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Growing Our Future in Weakley County Schools podcast. A huge thank you to our 3 Teachers of the Year for sharing their wisdom, humor, and passion for teaching. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share. Remember, you can catch us on demand on Google Podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you've listened to your favorite podcast. See you next time.